I was 28 when I returned from studying abroad and secured a position teaching foreign languages at Hanoi University. My first day was a blur of introductions, meeting all the faculty members, attending departmental meetings, and getting acquainted with the academic environment. After a formal introduction to the department head, a woman walked in. The brief introduction revealed her name, Vi. She was the deputy head of the department, 3 years older than me, and as I soon learned, already married. There's an old saying, a mother of one is a sight to behold, and standing before me, Vi proved that to be true. She was wearing a crisp white shirt, neatly buttoned but not too tight, subtly outlining her slender frame. I greeted her with a polite nod and a smile. "Hello, I'm new here. From now on, I'll be working under you, so feel free to boss me around," I said half-jokingly, my eyes momentarily catching the slight gap between the buttons of her shirt. She smiled, an air of professionalism mixed with warmth. "Nice to meet you. I'm Vi. If you need anything, just ask. Don't be shy." The conversation was brief, and before long, the bell rang, signaling the start of classes. As she turned to leave, she glanced at me. "Follow me," she said. At first, I hesitated, thinking she was calling someone else. I looked around, but there was no one else nearby. "Me?" I asked. She smirked. "Who else?" As I fell into step beside her, she casually remarked, "You know, you're quite the rarity around here." "How so?" I asked, intrigued. "In the history of our department, we've never had a male lecturer before. You're the first." "Really?" I laughed. "Then why don't you just call me by my name instead of you?" She raised an eyebrow playfully. "Oh, never mind that. Just follow me." She gave me a tour of the department, walking ahead with a confident stride. I couldn't help but let my eyes follow her movements, her figure swaying slightly as she led the way. "Seen enough?" she asked suddenly, catching me off guard. I quickly averted my gaze. "Huh? Oh, I was just admiring the campus." She chuckled. "Sure you were." We eventually settled in the faculty office, where she walked me through the curriculum and teaching materials. As I skimmed through the documents, my mind occasionally wandered, not because of the workload, but because of the faint, intoxicating blend of perfume and feminine warmth lingering beside me. "Vi, I've got a rough idea now. Mind if I take these documents home to study more thoroughly?" I asked. "Of course. I'll send them to you online," she replied. At this point, the office was nearly empty, with most lecturers already in their classrooms. A rare moment of silence settled between us. Out of curiosity, I blurted, "Hey, are you wearing French perfume?" She turned to me, surprised. "How do you know?" "I used to wear this brand before. If I had to guess, you're using the white bottle, right? It's lighter than the black one I used." She laughed. "Impressive. But tell me, did you use it, or was it your girlfriend?" I smirked. "I wish. I'm still single." She shook her head, grinning. "Hard to believe. With that quick wit and silver tongue, I bet girls are lining up for you already. Just wait. Soon, the female students will be forming a queue outside your office." I chuckled. "No way. I don't want to end up in some scandalous headline. Young lecturer caught in student affair or something like that." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you keep up with Vietnamese gossip, even while living abroad." "Of course," I shrugged. "Gotta stay updated, or I'd feel out of touch." We continued chatting until I glanced at my watch. "It's lunchtime already. Want to grab a bite?" "My treat." She arched an eyebrow. "Oh, and where do you plan to take me?" I scratched my head sheepishly. Honestly, I just got back to Vietnam, and I barely recognize the streets anymore. I wouldn't even know where to eat. She laughed. "So, inviting me was just an excuse to get me to recommend a good restaurant, huh? That's unfair. I genuinely don't know where to go." I protested. She smirked. "All right, I'll let it slide for now. But how are we getting there?" "I took a motorbike taxi this morning, so I don't have my own ride," I admitted. She shook her head in mock exasperation. "Hopeless. Come on, I'll drive." We headed to the parking lot, where she unlocked a sleek black Mercedes. I paused, slightly impressed. While luxury cars were common overseas, in Vietnam, owning one meant she was doing quite well for herself. Are you getting in, or just going to stand there gawking? She teased. I quickly slid into the passenger seat, inhaling the faint floral scent that filled the car. Wow, your car smells amazing, I remarked. Way better than the motorbike taxi I took this morning. That thing smelled like a pigsty. She rolled her eyes, laughing. You sure know how to flatter, don't you? As she started the engine, I jokingly asked, So, where are we going, my dear? She shot me a sharp look. Excuse me? I'm a married woman, remember? Watch your words. Relax, it's just a joke. You're so uptight. I chuckled. Anyway, what's for lunch? How about bun cha at Hong Lin? It's been a while since I last ate there, she suggested, turning on the radio as we drove off. I leaned back, enjoying the ride, the soft melody filling the car. A beautiful woman, a luxury ride, and good food ahead. Life was good. Traffic, however, had other plans. Soon we were stuck in a jam. Ugh, traffic again, she muttered. I grinned. Well, more time to sit here and chat with you. Not so bad, right? She shot me a look. You're really something, you know that? I merely smiled, enjoying the moment. It wasn't every day that a new job came with such an interesting colleague. But then curiosity got the best of me. I reached toward the glove compartment and popped it open. What I saw made my eyes widen. Lying right there in plain sight was a red lace thong, delicate, intricate, and very much out of place. Before I could react, she snapped, Hey, don't open that. But it was too late. An awkward silence filled the car as I quickly shut the compartment, pretending as if nothing had happened. Still, I couldn't help but steal a glance at her. Her face had turned bright red, and for the first time, the ever-composed Vi looked genuinely flustered. Why's your face so red? I teased. It's just underwear. Totally normal. She huffed, gripping the steering wheel tighter. Just shut up. I chuckled under my breath, deciding to let it go. This was going to be an interesting workplace indeed. I laughed while speaking, trying to lighten the tense atmosphere. Maybe I was already used to life abroad, so this didn't seem like a big deal to me. But my sister was different. She glared at me. What do you mean normal? Don't touch things randomly, got it? I didn't touch anything weird. Why are you scolding me? I retorted. Do you want me to kick you out of the car? Oh, I believe you. But if you kick me out, I'll be lost and won't know how to get back. Poor thing. She chuckled, but her face turned red. Seeing that, I teased her even more. Wow, just a little joke, and you're blushing like a teenage girl. Will you shut up? She pretended to be angry, but her cheeks turned even redder. I grinned and playfully surrendered. All right, I'm sorry. Before we knew it, we arrived at our destination and ordered food. I sighed with satisfaction and said, Wow, it's been ages since I had such good food. Are you done eating? Pay the bill, and let's go get something to drink. It's too hot. Yes, ma'am. After paying, we headed to a nearby cafe. It was spacious and relatively empty at this hour, giving us the perfect setting for a deep conversation. We talked about everything. Family, work, life. It turned out we had a lot in common, and the conversation seemed endless. Looks like I'll have to be your personal therapist from now on, she joked. What an honor. I'd be happy to. I didn't have many friends, so having someone to chat with like this was genuinely enjoyable. Soon, it was time to return. She went to her lecture, while I stayed behind to do some research. Before long, the class was over. As I stepped out of the school gate, about to hail a taxi, a familiar voice called out, Did you get a ride yet? I turned around and saw Vi lowering her sunglasses. No. Then get in. I'll take you home. I hesitated playfully. Is this ride free? I'm afraid I can't afford it. She laughed. Just get in already. You think I need your money. I hopped having said that. He rubbed his bald head and looked at us. All right, we'll do our best, Vi responded firmly. I called you two here just for that. If no one has any objections, then let's wrap up this meeting, he concluded. Meeting? What meeting? This was nothing more than dumping a load of work onto us two. I thought to myself but kept my mouth shut. Vi and I exchanged glances before bidding the old man farewell and heading back to our office to start planning. As always, Vi walked ahead while I followed behind, taking my time to admire the view. It was just a little personal tradition of mine. Once we reached our office, we settled down at our desks. Vi let out a sigh and stretched, her arms extending gracefully above her head. Looks like we won't be getting any rest soon, she murmured. As she stretched, my eyes involuntarily wandered to the line of buttons on her blouse. My mind started drifting into all sorts of thoughts. Oh, come on, Vi, we've got plenty of time. No need to rush, I reassured her, flashing a casual smile. Enough with the chit-chat. Pull your chair over here. We need to plan this out, she ordered. I complied, dragging my chair closer to hers, seizing the opportunity to take in the subtle fragrance of her perfume. It was intoxicating, mingling with her natural scent, making it almost impossible to focus. To maintain my composure, I leaned forward and placed my notebook strategically, hoping it would help conceal the evidence of my wandering thoughts. So what's the plan, Vi? I asked, feigning disinterest. Let's keep it simple. Overcomplicating things will only give us headaches, she replied, her usual no-nonsense demeanor surfacing. Despite my laziness creeping in, we discussed our strategy for a while. At some point, my hand, which was holding the notebook, accidentally brushed against her fingers. She was wearing a black flared skirt that barely covered her knees, making the contrast of her smooth, cool skin all the more noticeable. It made perfect sense why people would be drawn to her like moths to a flame. She, however, remained unfazed, continuing her explanation as if nothing had happened. Gathering courage, I took a gamble. You know, it's been a while since I've been this close to a woman, I admitted with a smirk. She didn't even pause, just kept talking about the project. Vi, do you work out? Your legs are really toned, but your skin is unbelievably soft, I remarked, pushing my luck further. And you haven't gotten tired of touching my legs yet? Some nerve you have, she finally acknowledged, raising an eyebrow. How could I be? You're ridiculously smooth, Vi, I teased, unable to resist. Well, since you're so eager, why don't you give me a massage? These heels are killing me, she said, crossing one leg over the other. My heart did a little victory dance. Oh, I actually have a friend who does professional massages. I might have picked up a few tricks, I grinned. Let's see what you've got, she challenged. I began massaging her foot, knowing full well how exhausting high heels could be. Not bad, but I hope you're not expecting to get paid for this, she joked. Of course not. But if it's you, I'll accept something else as payment, I replied mischievously. She chuckled, but was interrupted by the sound of footsteps. The door creaked open, and we immediately composed ourselves, pretending to be deep in work. What are you two doing sitting so close together? Up to something shady? Tao teased. Oh, please. The boss just gave me a project, and I'm completely lost on how to start, Vi responded smoothly. Wow, and you just got here, and you're already trusted with assignments? Got some connections, huh? Han smirked. If it weren't tech-related, I doubt he would have asked for my help, I shrugged. We exchanged a few more playful jabs before it was time to wrap up for the day. As I glanced out the window, I noticed the autumn sky darkening much quicker than usual. Later that night, Vi and I texted back and forth about work. Since her husband was often suspicious, she avoided messaging after 9 p.m. However, one evening, she mentioned that he was away on a business trip. That night, we chatted until almost 2 a.m. Is there a way to send messages without needing to delete them? If my husband sees me texting a younger guy like this, I'm doomed, she asked. Facebook has a hidden chat feature. I'll set it up for you tomorrow, I offered. All right. It's late. Let's get some sleep. We still have work to finish tomorrow, she replied. Got it. Good night, Vi. That night, I learned more about her life. She had a younger sister studying abroad, leaving her alone with her parents until she got married. Her husband worked in government research, often too busy to pay much attention to her. She confided that she knew about his affairs, but had long since stopped confronting him. After our conversation, I tossed my phone aside and stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. My dreams were filled with images of her, so much so that I woke up feeling restless. A cold shower did little to help. I got dressed, grabbed breakfast at a street vendor, and was just finishing up when a message popped up on my phone. And can you pick me up? My car won't start. I texted. On my way. I replied quickly, feeling an unexpected thrill. When I arrived, she was already waiting outside. Today, her skirt seemed even shorter than before. As I pulled up, I rolled down the window and quipped, "VIP taxi service at your service. Complimentary water included." She laughed and got in. "Such good service. 5 stars for you," she joked. I turned on a soft playlist. "Oh, you remembered my favorite song?" she asked, surprised. "Of course. I pay attention." I smirked. She glanced at me, amused. "You're surprisingly attentive for a troublemaker. If you keep this up, I might have to introduce you to someone," she teased. "Only if she looks like you," I replied, making her roll her eyes. We arrived at work and got back to our tasks, but the air between us felt different, charged with an energy neither of us was ready to acknowledge yet. Into the car, smiling to myself. Somehow, I was getting closer to her. The white t-shirt she wore had a wide neckline, revealing just enough of her collarbone to make her look effortlessly elegant. Staring at her like this, I couldn't help but think, compared to the campus beauty queens, she certainly wasn't any less attractive. Lost in my thoughts, I was still gazing when she suddenly spoke. "You keep staring at me, kid," she said, snapping me out of my daze. "Here, I got coffee. Hold my bag." "Oh, all right," I stammered, standing frozen for another 2 seconds before rushing to take her bag. Then, like a loyal shadow, I followed her into the elevator. "It's quiet today," I commented. "Yeah, it's Saturday. Everyone's off," she replied as the elevator doors closed. She stood in front of me, and I stood behind her, inhaling the faint yet intoxicating mix of her body wash, perfume, and something unmistakably feminine. I couldn't resist. I took a deep breath, letting the scent overwhelm me. She shivered slightly when she felt my breath at the nape of her neck. "What are you doing, you little brat?" she snapped. "You smell so good." "I love it. We're in an elevator." "There's no one around," I pointed out. "Everyone's in class, and this is the faculty elevator." She fell silent. Emboldened by her lack of response, I took another deep breath, as if addicted to her scent. It was almost intoxicating, like a drug. The elevator dinged, breaking the moment. She hesitated for a beat before stepping out toward her office. The foreign language department was practically exiled to the farthest, most deserted part of the 7th floor. On weekends, it was a ghost town. Inside her office, the silence between us grew. I had a feeling she was annoyed about what just happened, but I pretended not to notice and focused on my laptop. I worked on Photoshop for a while before my outdated device completely froze. Annoyed, I slammed my hand on the table. "Damn it," I muttered. She turned to me, eyebrows raised. "What's wrong?" "This ancient thing is barely holding together. I don't even know how it's still working." "You didn't bring your laptop?" she asked. "No." She opened her desk drawer, pulled out her laptop, and handed it to me. "Here, use mine." I reached for it, and our hands brushed. "Hey, how long are you going to hold my hand?" "Do your work," she scolded playfully. Lunchtime came before I knew it. I stretched, looking at her. "Let's go eat." "I'm starving." "Give me 5 minutes," she said, eyes still on her phone. I already ordered food, 4 servings of duck noodles. "Wow, you're spoiling me today. First coffee, now lunch. You must need a favor." She scoffed. "What could I possibly ask you for?" "Hey, whatever your husband can do, I can do too," I teased, flashing a confident grin. Her face darkened slightly. "My husband," she murmured, her eyes distant. I immediately regretted my words. "I'm sorry," I said quickly. She sighed. "Forget it. Just don't give me that pitying look." I cleared my throat. "Where's the delivery number?" "I'll grab the food." Without a word, she handed me her phone. Instead of waiting for her to unlock it, I instinctively reached for it on her desk. She looked at me, startled. You really have no boundaries, do you?" I chuckled nervously. "Sorry, Habit. Take it." "Hurry up, the food's here," she said, tossing the phone into my hands. I rushed out, but halfway to the elevator, I realized something. I didn't know her phone's passcode. I turned back, and she looked up in surprise. "Forgot something?" Yeah. I don't know your password." She sighed and motioned for me to come closer. "Here." She took my thumb and placed it on the fingerprint scanner. "There. Now you won't have to ask next time." I blinked. "Wait, what?" "Go get the food." She dismissed me with a wave. Still baffled, I hurried downstairs. My curiosity got the best of me. With her phone in hand, I couldn't resist the temptation. I unlocked it and opened her photo album. I scrolled through random pictures before stopping dead in my tracks. My breath hitched. A photo of that lace underwear. The same one I had seen peeking out from her bag the other day. Holy shit! Before I could process it further, the elevator doors opened. I shoved the phone into my pocket, grabbed the food, and returned to the office, doing my best to act normal. But the moment I handed her phone back, she picked it up and froze. My stomach dropped. Slowly, she turned to me, her sharp gaze like a dagger. I felt my throat go dry. Shit! I forgot to close the gallery. She didn't say a word, just looked at me, her expression unreadable. My mind raced for an excuse, but I had nothing. Eat your food, she said finally, her voice eerily calm. I swallowed hard and obeyed, stuffing noodles into my mouth, pretending nothing happened. Inside, my brain was screaming. After lunch, I sheepishly bought 2 orange juices from the canteen, handing her one as a peace offering. Here, my apology. She took it, eyeing me. You really are something else. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have looked. Well, I did anticipate this when I gave you access, she admitted, sipping her drink. Think of it as a little education. I choked. What? She smirked. Forget it. Come here, read this for me. Tell me if I missed anything. Scooting my chair closer, I settled beside her. The proximity was dangerous, but I didn't care. Her voice, her scent, the subtle rise and fall of her breath, it was all too much. Just then, the elevator dinged. She quickly adjusted her posture. Heavy footsteps approached. A deep voice spoke. Oh, you two are here? Shit. The bald supervisor. Yes, sir. We're wrapping up the work you assigned, she replied smoothly. Good. I'll leave it to you, he said before grabbing some files and leaving. The moment the door closed, she let out a long sigh. That was close. You liked it though, didn't you? I teased, unable to resist. She hesitated. Maybe. It's been a while. That night, I collapsed onto my bed, exhausted. But not from work. No, it was the sheer effort of holding back all day. I drifted into a deep sleep and dreamed. In the dream, she was sitting on my bed, wrapped in nothing but the sheets. Tear-streaked eyes met mine. How could you? She whispered. The crumpled bedsheets bore evidence of what had just happened. I reached for her. I'm sorry, but I love you. Love? And yet you did this. Her voice trembled. She curled into herself, refusing to meet my gaze. Then suddenly, my phone rang, snapping me awake. My heart pounded as I gasped for air, sweat soaking my shirt. A dream. It was just a dream. The phone rang again. I grabbed it, staring at the caller ID. 3 words appeared on the screen, Linda. It was her. Instant noodles. How could that be enough? Hold on a sec, I said, hearing the familiar beeping of a call ending. Wait, did she just hang up on me? Unbelievable. My lips curled into a smirk as I tossed my phone onto the bed and grabbed a towel, heading for the bathroom. The warmth of the water cascaded over my skin, washing away the exhaustion of the day. I ran my fingers through my damp hair, feeling refreshed as I quickly wrapped the towel around my waist and stepped out. Walking down from my bedroom to the kitchen, I reached over my bed to grab my phone, my throat dry as sandpaper. Probably sweating too much. I yanked open the fridge, eyes scanning for anything remotely satisfying. Nothing. Great. I hadn't gone grocery shopping in ages. Typical life of a single man. Sighing, I turned toward the kitchen counter, grabbing a pot and filling it with water, setting it on the stove. Time for some instant noodles. But when I pulled open the drawer, reality struck. I was out of them. Just my luck. Was I cursed today? Maybe I stepped out with my left foot first or something. Screw it. I decided to throw on some clothes and head out to grab a bowl of hot pho from the street vendor near my apartment complex. But just as I reached for my jeans, knock. Who the hell could be visiting me at this hour? Still only wrapped in a towel, I walked toward the door, my curiosity piqued. As I pulled it open, my eyes landed on a petite figure clad in a silky pink pajama set, oversized sunglasses covering half her face, a mask hiding the rest. At her feet were fuzzy avocado slippers, so oddly charming that I almost chuckled. But then my gaze flickered to the familiar black car parked outside, and it hit me. 10 p.m., and you're already here? I raised an eyebrow, leaning against the doorframe. Oi, brat. I brought you food, and instead of a thank you, you're complaining, she huffed, shoving a bag toward me. And why the hell are you standing here in just a towel? I grinned. I was showering when you knocked. Came out immediately when I heard the door. Come in, I'll go put something on. Before I could step aside, she had already slipped past me, making herself at home. I shook my head, closing the door behind her before dashing upstairs to throw on some shorts and a t-shirt. By the time I returned, she was already in the kitchen, setting out the food. The sight made something warm settle in my chest. No one had ever taken care of me like this before. Here, eat up. She slid a steaming bowl of pho toward me, her tone softer now. I didn't hesitate. I was starving. The rich aroma filled my senses as I dug in, devouring each bite. But as I looked up, I noticed she was staring at me, her eyes unreadable. What? Do I have something on my face? I asked between bites. She shook her head, lips curving into a barely there smile. Just eat. I did, polishing off the bowl, even drinking every last drop of the broth. After washing the dishes and tossing the trash, I turned to her. Thanks for the food. Really? She rolled her eyes. No need to be so dramatic. I'll head back now. I watched as she got up, but something inside me refused to let the moment end so soon. Before I knew it, I stood as well, following her to the door. Oi, thanks again, I said, my voice quieter this time. She glanced back, hesitating for a split second. Idiot, she muttered before slipping out into the night, leaving me standing there, my heart pounding for reasons I didn't quite understand. I sighed, locking the door behind me. Then, without another thought, I headed back to the bathroom. And we both knew exactly why.